What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of me talking watches. A few months ago I did a video where I talk about some of the most affordable watches, I believe, or something like that, and on that list I had most of the watches being diverse watches, and I said that I think chronographs deserve a complete different video. They're so sophisticated, they're so unique, they're so well crafted that they just need a separate video. And the day came for me to sit down and talk to you about chronographs. What is a chronograph? When were they invented? And more importantly, what are some of the best chronographs for basically any budget? So no matter where you find yourself, with a lot of money or not a lot of money, I got you, because the chronographs will start from around $200. So let's get started. But before we jump into today's episode, you guys already know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit the bell icon to turn on the notifications so you never miss when I drop a new video. Okay, so what is a chronograph? On the surface, what everybody knows, or like to put it in the easiest way, is basically a second hand that is detached from the timekeeping function that can be started, stopped, reset at any time you want. So basically that hand stays always at 12 o'clock. It never moves unless you want to with the push of a button. That is for the surface. Obviously it's much more complex inside the movement, and we're not going to get into that, but basically in a world full of smartwatches and all of these new modern watches, we tend to forget that chronographs is much more than just timekeeping function. It can be used as a stopwatch to measure the time, speed, distance, whatever. The first recorded chronograph was invented in 1816, so that puts it at over 200 years. So this is not something new. Chronographs have been around for a very, very long time, and we're gonna get into more details right now. Now, chronographs used to be very useful. I don't think they're as useful now. There's not much that you can use it for, and I see a lot of people buying them, and personally I love chronographs, and if I buy a chronograph, it's basically because of, you know, the history, the heritage, the craftsmanship. It's a very complex movement, and the way it operates is just amazing. And I see that, or I feel like this is why a lot of people buy it, not necessarily for the function itself, because to be honest, where are you really going to use a chronograph? I really want to use a chronograph in the water to time myself, but you can't use a chronograph in the water because of the pushers, and because most of the chronographs have very, very low or weak water resistance. So also, whenever I have a chronograph on, what I do is I put to microwave my food, and let's say I give it a minute, that's when I start my chronograph, which is pretty hilarious. But with that being said, the first chronograph that I have on the list is none other than Sigil 1963. A beautiful, absolutely beautiful chronograph that doesn't get the love and attention that it deserves, for the simple reason of being a Chinese watch. People think that, oh man, this watch is made in China, it must be garbage, and you know, it can be true for a lot of other watches, but it's completely different when it comes to Seagull 1963. I mean, just take a look at this beautiful, beautiful chronograph. Inspired from the military. This watch was made for the military in those times, and I wish it was more successful than it actually is. The case size for this watch is 38 millimeters. You can also find it in 41 millimeters if you have a little bit of a larger wrist. The thickness is 14 millimeters, so it's a little bit thicker than, you know, I would prefer, but regardless, the watch is absolutely gorgeous. With the lug to lug of 46 millimeters, water resistance unfortunately is only 30 meters, but this is basically what you get with any chronograph. Rarely do you find a chronograph with maybe 100 meters of water resistance, and those are more the ones that have screw down crowns, screw down pushers, and so on. The movement that they use is the manual Sigil ST1901, and for the crystal they use acrylic, so it's not Sapphire Crystal or anything like that. But keep in mind, the price is only $250. So I've searched the whole internet. Basically, I could not find anything better than Sigil 1963 at that price. And you know, to be honest, if this watch was $500-600, I still would say this is one of the best. let alone $250. It's just really insane. Next up on the list we have Bulova Lunar Pilot. The Lunar Pilot is another absolutely gorgeous chronograph that is on the paper 45 millimeters, which is a very big watch for the average wrist size. My wrist size is about 7 inches, and the first time I put the Bulova Lunar Pilot on my wrist, I did not know the dimensions, and let me tell you, it fit absolutely amazing. It did look like a touch bigger than I would normally wear, so I was thinking it would be about 43 millimeters, and then when I asked, I was told that it's actually 45 millimeters, which is, if you would tell me that first, hey, I have this Bulova watch, 45 millimeters, want to try it on? I'd probably say no, like no chance. There's no reason for me to try it on. I'm not gonna like it. It'll be too chunky, too big no. I've had it on my wrist first and I totally fell in love with it. It wears much smaller than, you know, what the specs say here on the paper. So this is a absolutely beautiful chronograph with a thickness of 13.5 millimeters, lug to lug of 52, water resistance up to 50 meters, which again, it doesn't have screw down crown or screw down pushers, so it's you don't really want to keep it anywhere near water. With that being said, it's a Sapphire Crystal, guys. At $500, you get Sapphire Crystal. This is another absolutely incredible thing because here in Canada, Omega Speedmaster, brand new Sapphire Crystal, costs 7,000 Canadian dollars. Non-Sapphire Crystal, or the Hesalite, costs $6,000. So you have a difference of $1,000, and the only difference is that one is Sapphire Crystal and one isn't. In this case, with the Bulova Lunar Pilot, we have a full watch, a full moon watch, and I'll get to that in a second, that has Sapphire Crystal, and it's a very beautiful chronograph. Now, fun fact, and I don't know if I can call that a fact, but it's a story that rumors per se, that whenever the Omega Speedmaster were first taken in the space, this is why the Omega is considered the first moon, or the first watch on the moon, or the moon watch. They say that Omega actually had the crystal popped off, and the guy who was wearing the Omega Speedmaster just put the watch aside, and he had with him a Bulova Lunar Pilot. So he swapped the watch and put the Bulova Lunar Pilot on his wrist, and that watch did absolutely fine. And so this is the story that not a lot of people know. Also later on, the watch was sold for around 1.5 or 1.7, I'm not too sure, $1 million for an auction, which for a Bulova is insane. But this is the story that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people think that, man, the Speedmaster is the first watch on the moon. You know, it's a moon watch. It actually didn't perform as well, and the Lunar Pilot was the one that knocked it out of the park. Now the cool thing about it is, another thing that impressed me is that the watch is actually with the quartz movement, but it's a very different because it's a high performance quartz, which means that a regular quartz watch or a regular quartz movement is typically a bit per second. With the high frequency or high performance quartz, it's actually 8 beats per second. So you still get that smooth, nice sweep of the hand, which you don't really think that it's a quartz. So this is an amazing thing for the people that are true lovers of that, you know, beautiful sweep of the hand. Next up, we got another Bulova, and that is the Chronograph A, and it's another watch that retails at around $500, just like the Lunar Pilot. But unlike the Lunar Pilot, the better thing is that it's much smaller. It goes for around 38.5 millimeter case, which, you know, for people that have a smaller wrist, then, you know, this will accommodate you better. With a thickness of 16.7 millimeters and lug to lug of 47 millimeters, this watch, surprisingly, from the sources I found, because I couldn't believe, it has a water resistance of 200 meters. This is crazy, 200 meters for a chronograph, and it doesn't even have screw down crown or screw down pushers, which is like just insane. I totally love that. I'm not too sure if that's a mistake, but this is what I found, the information on this watch. The cool thing about this guy is also that it has a Sapphire Crystal, and it comes in two movements that you can get. You can get a quartz and you can get automatic. The quartz is the one that I'm talking about, around $500. If you get automatic, then you're looking at all the way to $2,000, which is pretty spicy for a Bulova. But Again, when we're talking about quartz, we're talking about high frequency quartz, high performance quartz that, you know, runs at 8 beats per second, which again gives that look of automatic. Next on the list we have Teso Heritage 1948. It's a watch that, you know, you probably haven't even seen it before. It's a watch that is very rare. People don't really talk about it. It's gotten that inspired vintage look, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, elegant chronograph with a price of $1,500, coming with a case size of 39.9 millimeters, which is what I call perfect case size, around 40 millimeters. Thickness is 11.9, which, guys, even by today's standards, this is amazing for a chronograph. My Longines Hydro Conquest is 11 millimeters thickness, and it's a diver's watch, and I think it's so slim and it's so gorgeous, and, you know, hides so well under my shirt, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. But it's not a chronograph. Chronograph is much more advanced, it's much more complex. For a chronograph, 11.9 millimeters is absolutely incredible. Lug to lug of 48 millimeters, and water resistance, unfortunately, like almost every chronograph, 30 meters of water resistance, which means you don't really want to keep it anywhere near the water. Now, one bad thing about this watch is that it has acrylic crystal, so no Hesalite, no Sapphire Crystal, at around $1,500. I feel like they should have had that. I mean, the both Bulovas that I've talked about before this one, both incredible chronographs that are around $500. Both of them have Sapphire Crystal, and this guy doesn't. But hey, it is what it is. It's not much that you can do at this point. It's still beautiful, it's still gorgeous, just too nice. And the movement of choice is Auto ETA 2894-2. Next up on the list we got Hamilton Intramatic. Not too sure if you've seen this beautiful guy, but I totally love this watch. From the first moment I saw it, the class, the elegance, the black and white panda dial, there's something about it. There's just something about that dial that no matter in what watch you put it, it automatically becomes an instant hit. It's just too beautiful. With an absolute perfect case size of 40 millimeters, thickness 14.4, and lug to lug of 49 millimeters, this watch is perfect for the average size wrist, which, you know, around 7 inches, just looks absolutely incredible. It's not too flashy, it doesn't jump in the eye, it just complements the outfit, it complements the personality, and it's just so classic and modern and timeless at the same time. I get a great feeling when I see this watch, with really good water resistance of 100 meters, which I still don't trust any watch that does not have screw down crown, screw down pushers, and it says 100 or 200 meters of water resistance. I still would not go anywhere near the water with a watch like that, because, you know, it's not cheap. It goes around $2,200, and yeah, you just don't want to risk. Now, for the crystal, they use Sapphire Crystal, which is great, and it also has a separate button for the date adjustment, for those who didn't know, which, you know, at this moment, I think it's probably the best entry-level mechanical chronographs that exists out there. Okay, we got 4 more chronographs. Next up, we got Longines Big Eye Chrono. This is a watch from a manufacturer that has been around for nearly 200 years. Longines is one of the companies that I would stick with them for the rest of my life. If you ask me for one watch brand, and only one watch brand that, you know, I would stick for the rest of my life without buying any other watches, Longines without hesitation would be one of those that I would say yes to, because they have everything, and because their watches are not ridiculously priced. You know, they can be used as tool watches, incredible watches that, you know, will serve you through all of day-to-day adventures and use and activities. So this watch is priced around $2,600. It's a little more expensive than the Hamilton, but it comes with, again, one, you know, nearly perfect case size of 41 millimeters, thickness of 14.4 with lug to lug of 48 millimeters. When it comes to water resistance, again, 30 meters of water resistance, not a lot. So again, this is very common with chronographs. So again, it's a watch that, you know, deserves a little bit more care, and it's more fine than, you know, a diver's watch or or anything of that class. So it just deserves a little bit of better attention and, you know, being better taken care of. The watch obviously comes with Sapphire Crystal at, you know, $2,600 already is a good chunk of money, so you do want that. And it comes with 66 hours of power reserve, which I think is pretty good considering the fact that it's a much more, you know, complex movement and more advanced, and, you know, requires so much more gears and things like that. And 66 hours of power reserve is not bad at all. We have simple divers watches, no date function, no nothing, and they're, you know, 48 hours of power reserve, 30 hours of power reserve. So for a chronograph, it's great. 66 hours of power reserve, I'm really happy. And don't forget, it's Longines. You're getting something from a brand that has been around for so long, that stood the test of time, and here they are. They're doing amazing, so I would recommend this one too. Next up, we got the Oris Diver 65 Chrono. A lot of the people saw the Diver 65 diver's watch, obviously, but they also have a chronograph version, and that is another absolutely incredible piece that I have never seen anybody wearing it. And it's probably because it comes on a little bit of a more expensive side, around $3,000 for an Oris. People at $3,000, they would consider buying other watches, you know, maybe Longines, maybe an Omega, but not really spend them on Oris. And this watch is a true beauty. It really brings back a lot of that vintage look and the, you know, a watch that your grandpa would maybe wear. But it's great. It comes with a case size of 42 millimeters and water resistance of 100 meters, which is much better. Still, I would not take it anywhere near the water. It's like I said, a watch that needs to be better taken care of. This is not a diver's watch, so don't time yourself under the water, please. Case material is steel with bronze bezel, and it comes with around 48 hours of power reserve, which is pretty standard for a lot of the watches. The movement of choice is the caliber Oris 771, which is Solida 510 base, and the crystal is obviously sapphire. You can't really go with any other choice at $3,000. We got two more watches on my list, and the next one is my favorite, and it's my favorite not just from the list I created here, but it's my ultimate favorite chronograph. I am so in love with it, and you will never guess what is it, and that is the Bell & Ross V2-94. Take a look at it. Take a look at the dial, at the indexes, at the numbers, at the hands. This watch is my absolute favorite chronograph. Comes with a pretty hefty price, around $4,000. I've showed it to a few of my friends and I said, man, this is the absolute best chronograph I've ever seen. The best looking. It's just so calm. It is so gorgeous. It is so simple. And they were like, it's so. At that price, I'd add another $1,000 and get the Speedmaster. And that just makes me furious because the Speedmaster is so overrated in my opinion. And we'll get into that in a second. But a few of the specs for the Bell & Ross, again, $4,000. It has a case size of 41 millimeters, thickness of 13.9 with lug to lug of 47.8 millimeters, water resistance of 100 meters, but the things here are different. This is a watch that I would trust with the water, despite the fact that it also has 100 meters of water resistance, just like Oris or other watches that I mentioned. This watch I would trust because it has screw down pushers and screw down crown, and that is a work of art because not a lot of watches, chronographs, have that. You have that in the Tudor chronograph, you have that with the older Rolex Daytona. There's not a lot of options of screw down pusher, screw down chronograph. It also has a date complication on top of the chronograph, which is beautiful because, hey, it never hurts to have too many complications. It never hurts to have too many things on your watch, and they were able to make this watch so simple, not overly busy, adding a date complication that is located between 4 and 5 o'clock. It uses a Solida movement and a ultra domed sapphire crystal. Last but certainly not least, we have the Omega Speedmaster, a watch that a lot of people love, a lot of people hyped it up, and the thing that upsets me the most about the watch is that Omega themselves made so many limited editions of this watch. And in my humble opinion, when a brand does a lot of limited editions, they're not really that special to me. And the Speedmaster just has a lot. And if you go on their website to look at all of the multiple options that you can buy it, you know, in a ton of materials with gold, bronze, silver, black, titanium, different colored moon on it, with it's just so, and you get to a point where you don't really know if the watch is real or fake. If I see somebody walking right now with a Speedmaster that has Shrek on it, I genuinely would know if that's real or not. I would say fake, but I would have the doubt, because these guys literally have crazy options for the Speedmaster. But this is the thing that makes me not love it so much. Regardless, the simple Speedmaster is the watch that I must own, and I will have it in my collection soon. The thing with it is I will not buy it brand new. Brand new, the watch goes for around $6,000–$7,000, and because of, you know, being so available, and because being so limited edition, many options, the watch is losing value. So you buy it for $6,000 now, and 4 or 5 years down the road it will cost $4,000. And I get it, there are watches that you don't really care about the price, you just want to get it based off the sentimental value or what it means to you, or you've just been in love with it forever. But Speedmaster is not one of them for me. Although I really like the watch, I just don't see the point of buying it brand new. The cool thing about it is that it comes in different sizes, 38, 41, 43 millimeters, so it accommodates a larger variety of wrists. Pretty slim watch with 13 millimeters, I love that for a chronograph. Comes with Sapphire Crystal and also available at a much cheaper price with a Hesalite. It doesn't have a date complication, and it also doesn't have screw down pushers and screw down crown. With the water resistance of around 50 meters, as expected, this is not a watch for the water or anywhere near the water. And I must say at the end of my list here that you never wanna, even if you really want, you never time yourself under the water with a chronograph. As soon as you push the button to start the chronograph in the water, the watch is done. You'll have water going in, and that will cost a lot of money to restore, rebuild, if that even possible. Alright, thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I hope it was very interesting for you, because it was for me. Please comment down below what are some of the chronographs that you like. If it's on my list, please let me know. I would love to chat down there with you. Also, do me the favor, subscribe to the channel. It helps tremendously. And you already know, smash the like button on this video. With that being said, take care.